YouTube? I'm here to do my recap of UFC Fight Night Maia versus LaFlare. Let's start at the bottom. Freddie Soriano versus Bentley Styler. Neither one of these guys look great. I know they're both pretty old, and fighting at flyweight, it's all about speed and, conditioning. And neither of these guys look super fluid, so it was a good knockout win for Freddie Soriano. He was definitely the much better fighter. I know he won a bronze medal at the Pan Games for wrestling, so he's pretty good, but still, it's just neither of these guys look like they're going to be a force at this weight class, just considering their age and how they look tonight. It's still a good win for Freddie, but I don't think they're going to be like either one of these guys top 15. Next we got Cristianos Gijo versus Jorge de Oliveira, and de Oliveira isn't a very good grappler. I thought that Cristiano was going to out-grapple him and get a submission pretty early. I just felt like the Gilbert Burns fight was a bad matchup because he was basically just fighting a guy with the same style as him, but just much better. And now we can see that, Cristianos is pretty good. So good win for Cristianos. Next was Leonardo Mafra versus Cain Carriasos. The first round of this fight was super back and forth and super high pace, but then Cain Carriasos got slower, and Leonardo Mafra just started to take over with his wrestling and ground and pound and dominated it from the second round to the end of the third with just solid takedowns one after another with good ground and pound. And like I said, just like with Cristianos Gijos, Leonardo Mafra to me looks like he's really good. It's just he was fighting like the top 15 guys and his debut and stuff, and it's hard to expect a guy on his debut to look great, especially if he's not fighting in his weight class. So good win for him. I think he's pretty exciting, and hopefully we'll get to see more of him. This is the next one's the big one, Leonardo Silva versus Drew Dober. Clearly Drew Dober didn't tap. His eyes were just closed, and he was putting his hand down to post. I've never seen someone get submitted with an arm and guillotine from half guard like that. It's hard. I've seen it with I've seen regular guillotines get finished like that. I know what's his face, Josh Burkman's done it, but I've never seen it with an arm in. It's too hard to catch people with arm and guillotines without full guard. You'd have to be really early in the first round, and you've got to be like Jake Shields level with that shit to catch someone in an arm and guillotine from side control. But like I said, if it was just that's just what I mean. It makes it even harder to believe because he was defending correctly too. If it was like that Josh Burkman guillotine where it was just a straight on arms around the neck and he had one leg in, it was the first minute of the first round, you could believe that maybe he was out for a split second, but there was just no way. This is a horrible stoppage. I hope it gets turned into a no contest because Drew Dober clearly didn't tap, and the fight was pretty good. It was really back and forth, really technical. I thought both guys were super evenly matched, but it's just unfortunate that it ended like that. But like I said, hopefully it gets turned into a no contest. Next is Kevin Souza versus Katsunori Kikuno. And nothing much to say, the fight only lasted like a minute. Kevin Souza threw a right straight and knocked out Kikuno with one punch. Yeah, like I said, not much to say. Good win for Kevin Souza, just really fast first round knockout. Next was Francisco Trinaldo versus Akbar Arreola. And Arreola, these guys are both really high level black belts, but Trinaldo was the much better wrestler and was able to have to take down every single round to stay on top of them on good ground and pound. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was one-sided. So good win for Francisco Trinaldo, 30-27 on all cards. Next was Godofredo Pepe versus Andre Fili, and the very first minute of the fight, Pepe threw up like a flying triangle, and Andre was defending well for the first minute or two that he was in it, but eventually Pepe grabbed a hold of the head and just pulled down and was able to get the submission. Good flying triangle win for Godofredo Pepe. Next was Gilbert Burns versus Alex Oliveira, and Gilbert Burns showed a ton of holes in this fight. I mean, he was basically, getting his ass whooped the first two rounds, and then the third round he basically just football tackled Alex Oliveira. And Gilbert Burns is one of those guys, no matter where it is on the ground, he's going to be better than pretty much everybody at this weight class. And he caught Alex Oliveira in an armbar at the end of the third, but like I said, his striking and wrestling need a lot of work because the first two rounds he wasn't able to get takedowns and he was just getting kind of lit up in the striking. So, it was a good comeback win for Gilbert Burns, but he obviously needs to work on his overall game if he wants to be top 15 guy, especially at lightweight. Next was Amanda Nunes versus Shania Baszler. And, you know, this fight was starting to become one-sided even before Shania Baszler got her leg hurt. You know, Amanda Nunes was starting to find her range and was starting to light Shania up a little bit, and Shania Baszler was just, you know, flailing for takedowns at one point. You know, I felt like Amanda Nunes was probably going to win by knockout even before the leg kick happened. So, good win for Amanda Nunes. Like I said, she was just much better than Shania was in this fight. And, next fight, Leonardo Santos versus Tony Martin. And like I said in my prediction video, I thought it was two jiu-jitsu guys, but Leonardo Santos was just a much better jiu-jitsu guy. And, you know, Tony Martin, he fades, you know. I don't think he's ever lost the first round in a UFC fight, but all of his losses have come, you know, second and third round. And that's what happened in this fight. He won the first, but then the second round came, and Leonardo Santos just took over, got the rear naked choke win. Good win for Santos. I don't feel like he'll ever be a top 15 guy, just because he's not well rounded enough, but still, I think he's a pretty exciting jiu-jitsu guy. Next is Eric Silva versus Josh Koscheck, and this just shows me Josh Koscheck needs to retire, because he looked decent in this fight, but, you know, the Josh Koscheck of like 5 years ago would have won this fight easy. You know, he literally is like at 50% of the skill level he was back in his prime, so it was a good fight to go out on because he didn't look horrible. I don't think this does much for Eric Silva except for giving him 2 wins in a row. Not much else to say about that fight. It was pretty much just a throwaway fight. Next was Damian Maia versus Ryan LaFlare, and I knew Maia was going to be the better grappler, but I didn't think it would be that dominant. And, you know, it was just the first 4 rounds was all Maia. The 5th round, Maia was super gassed and just kind of stalling that round, which is weird that Maia got a point taken in that round. And I've seen Anderson Silva do that shit for, you know, 2 or 3 rounds at a time. And the other thing is, what Maia was doing was he was trying to pull guard and get LaFlare to the ground, so that way he could sweep him. And he actually did that at one point in the 5th. He actually did sweep Ryan and was on top for about a minute. So I don't understand why he got a point taken away when, you know, I don't really think he was stalling. I think he was just trying to force the fight to the ground. And, you know, like I said, I've seen Anderson Silva do way worse for multiple rounds in a row without losing a point. So, I'm just saying, from now on, when Anderson Silva does that shit, it should be immediate points. Just because, you know, I felt like at least Damian Maia was actually trying to do something, even though he was technically stalling. He was still trying to get the fight to the ground so he could sweep him. You know? Anyway, good win for Maia. It was really dominant. The 5th round was the only round that LaFlare won. And thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll probably have my prediction video up in a couple of days for the next UFC card.